Buckeye Talk coming to you from the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. Nathan Baird from cleveland.com, Doug Lesmerises, Stephen Means. We just talked to Ryan Day for the first time since Ohio State's 35-28 loss to Oregon over the weekend. Not a lot of questions today about Tulsa, mostly questions about how that loss happened and, more importantly, what Ohio State's going to do going forward. Ryan Day admitted that they're looking at everything from a defensive side, whether that's personnel, whether that's scheme changes, whether that's even changes to how they structure the staff. Doug, unlike Stephen and I, you've been through this experience before where Ohio State has lost a game during a season, even sometimes an unexpected game during a season, and then the head coach then has to respond. And Ryan Day's doing that for the first time. I guess what jumped out to you, maybe especially about what he's kind of conceding about this defense and how they might fix it.
He had an opportunity to sort of give Kerry Combs a vote of confidence a couple times, and he didn't do it. So I asked him, it doesn't help anybody to be vague on this. Is he still the play caller? And then Bill Landers followed up and said, is he the defensive coordinator? It's he's the defensive coordinator, but he also said changes are coming. So he's clearly not happy. It is really interesting. You guys should listen to Buckeye Talk for the Wednesday Buckeye Talk. You can feel all the different emotional things at play, that Ryan Day is the head coach of the team, but he's also the offensive coordinator and the designer of the offense. And I definitely got a vibe of, it's not my side. You guys got to fix your side, which, again, is new. It's I don't know if that is tremendously serves the head coach. I would imagine the defensive coaches feel that. You want to hold them accountable, but Ryan Day also, really stood up for the offense and said, well, we gained all these yards. Well, I thought C.J. Stroud played great. Well, we just, had a couple things on fourth down, but, that's not the problem. When actually there were moments where the offense could have won this game, and it didn't. So I am super intrigued, but oftentimes coaches sort of talk about changes on a Tuesday, and then you get to Saturday and nothing really changed. So I would imagine Kerry Combs is going to call the defense on Saturday. I'll be intrigued to see if they played two deep safeties a lot instead of one. They have some personnel things they got to do, but usually you come out of Tuesday thinking, all these changes are coming, and then when you get to the game, it's where are the changes? And I think that might be the case, that they'll, at least this week, still bank on, let's just get better at what we do.
And to be fair, he said a lot of what Ryan Day said today was, we're considering changes. We're looking at everything. We're looking at every level. That isn't necessarily a commitment to changing anything. And what you're saying, I think, also resonated with me a little bit today. The fact that he did, on multiple occasions, stood up for kind of every aspect of that offense. And I guess I understand where he'd be coming from, is this is how the staff is split. This is how the staff is set up. But he's the one who set it up that way. He decided that Kerry Combs would be the defensive coordinator. He's the one who set up a situation where there's kind of an imbalance as far as the defensive staff, as we've talked about on Buckeye Talk, and as I imagine we will talk about again. So find that Wednesday podcast on your feeds. Stephen, I guess just where do you think they have to go from here as far as changes that have to be made this week? What jumps out to you as maybe the most pressing change?
I wonder if Kerry Combs is still going to be on the field, because I get it. He brings energy and all that rah-rah stuff is great, but this is football. If you don't have the energy to play football, then what the heck are you doing here? Sometimes you see things better from up on the field. It's weird that your primary play callers on both sides of the ball are both on the field. I understand other places they do some of that. Brent Venables does it for Clemson, but Brent Venables has also been doing this for 2 decades. Jeff Hafley was up in the box when he was here. I wonder if they move Kerry Combs up there and rely on somebody else like Al Washington to bring that level of energy. That's one change you can make, is if he sees it differently, maybe he calls it differently. But I kind of got the same vibe as Doug, where it was I can't do my job as an offensive guy if everybody else doesn't do their job. But let's start there. Maybe let's move Kerry away from this, because you're a coordinator now. You're not just a position coach. You can't just be an energy guy. You actually got to have it up here as well. So let's start there and let's see where it goes.
I actually had that on my list of questions today, and it slipped through, but I think it'll be a good one for Thursday, because I think you make a good point that, Kerry Combs had that role when he was here before as the cornerbacks coach, that he was a guy that could just sort of light things up on the sideline and get guys going and be a motivator. But does he really have time for that in this role? I think you would have so much going on as a defensive coordinator that how much time do you have to, maybe it just happens naturally, I don't know, but you can't be seeking out those opportunities, and there's a lot that has to be processed, especially with this defense and the lack of experience they have with this personnel, and frankly still the lack of skill that they have at some positions, that a lot has to be schemed up in order for them to be successful on defense. I think him going upstairs would make some sense. I'm sure that probably is one of the things they're considering this week and talking about. Get the text 614-350-3776. 3315. You get all the updates like from today's press conference. I'm giving them out right as they happen, right as they're coming out of Ryan Day's mouth. But you also get our news and analysis there all week.